today's cricket broadcasting world, rupees 2000 crores or 4000 crores seems a common thing, right? And after the IPL came, these numbers is staggering in exponential terms. But you know what the balance sheet of BCCI was in 1992? Or what were the salaries of Indian cricketers or what they used to get in 1980s? Well, this came in India created a strong money market for every stakeholders. The top guys in the chain to the middlemen. If you remember our last episode where I discussed how the World Cup tournament came to India due to PCCI hustle. If you have not heard our previous episode, then I request you to please know and listen to it first, because incomplete knowledge is dangerous. Anyways, so who was the person who made cricketers millionaires? Why did he come from America to revolutionize celebrity management in India? And what was his role? So who was Mark Mascarenhas? I'm Amin Verma, and today we'll get to know the dreamy story of Mark Mascarenhas and his star-studded clients. There's a very sweet story after the victory of Kapil Dev and his team when they beat West Indies in the World Cup final in '83. The BCCI wanted to establish and prestige the team, okay? But however, the board was facing a cash crunch, not having enough funds for this. So then BCCI turned up to the legendary cricket administrator Raj Singh Dangapur, and then he turned to legendary singer Lata Mangeshkar for help. And he requested Lata Mangeshkar to do a concert in Delhi to raise money for the purpose, as the BCCI was not flush with the funds in those days.
फाइनल जीतने के बाद ही सालवे साहब मुझसे मिलने आए और कहा, लता जी, हमारी टीम का भव्य स्वागत होना चाहिए और हमारे खिलाड़ियों को इनाम भी अच्छे मिलने चाहिए। क्या कहती हैं आप? मैंने कहा, जी हाँ, बहुत जोर शोर से होना चाहिए। फिर बहुत धीमे स्वर में उन्होंने कहा, इसके लिए आपका कार्यक्रम होना बहुत जरूरी है। उनकी फेंकी हुई ये गुगली का नतीजा है जो मैं आज आपके सामने खड़ी हूँ।
But you know what? This concert was very special because the song composed by Lata's musician brother Pandit Haritdas Mangeshkar. Cricketers also sang the song India Vishwa Vijeta on the stage. In the end, the concert yielded 20 lakh, a huge sum in '83, and enough for each player to receive rupees 1 lakh. And on her part, Lata did not charge a single penny for the performance. This is sweet, man. Anyways, let's get back to the anecdotes now. So rupees 200 per day. That's it. Yeah. The Indian team after the '83 World Cup was paid a sum of rupees 200 per day as allowance and rupees 1500 as match fees per game. There was no concept of TV rights till the early 90s. We only had matches telecasted by Doordarshan and then the bill was sent to BCCI. Isn't it crazy that first you create the market and viewership for the channel and also pay money to the channel?
92 में आपको बीसीसीआई बैलेंस शीट बोल रहा हूं, बैलेंस शीट देख के 62,62,000 रुपीस डेफिसिट था। दिस इज 1992।
And then Mr. Jagmohan Dalmia, you know what he did? He confronted with Doordarshan and he took the case to the court. And after all the struggle, he won the case, which clearly gave BCCI the right to sell their television rights to anyone, any private partner. Okay, a quick break, so bear with us and don't go anywhere. All the stories of cricketers, their salaries and financial structure of BCCI that time, I'm sharing with you. It's all the background that I believe is important before we move on and find out how Mark came into the picture. So a boy from Bangalore came to US to study communications and started working with the CBS network, home of TV shows like Promised Land and Studio One, and he was working as a salesman for the radio section of CBS Group that time. Geez, and his innovative strategies and keen business acumen allowed him to secure deals with the major advertising agencies at that time, and brands and all sort of thing, capitulating him to the top of the sales leaderboard. And after working for a radio network, he also made his mark in television sales and earned millions. But he left his job in '89 to start his own company called WorldTel. So after WorldTel happened, he had already made his mark as a sports broadcaster and won the rights to 10 matches of a 1990 FIFA World Cup, which West Germany won. They also bought the rights to the Alpine Ski World Cup. And bidding for the broadcast rights of an adventure game was a bold move at that point of a time, which completely shows that Mark was working according to his plans. And then '96 World Cup happened. When bidding got started, so company called TWI Transworld International, which also hosted the India vs England series in '93, when Mr. Dalmia faced Doordarshan in court, and the court ruled that BCCI could sell the rights to whoever it wanted. Then, for the first time, BCCI sold the broadcast rights of the '93 India vs England series to TWI. So in 96 again, TWI company bid 85 lakh dollar for the Cricket World Cup. But the company was not ready to pay us even a single amount in advance, which BCCI desperately needed. And then Mark came. There's also a story about how Mark Mascarenhas got the rights. When Mark learned that Jagmohan Dalmia and IS Bindra were looking for another bidder, Mark decided to jump in, and one interview with Outlook magazine, Mark said, I had not seen any cricket for 10 years. My first meeting with Bindra and Dalmia was in flat in London. That year, outside of three boards, the game was broke, and the only way Dalmia could conceive associate members and get the cup was by giving money to the ICC members for improving the game in their region. And through TWI had bid $8.5 million for the cup, they weren't willing to put any money in upfront, any in advance. Mascarena said then, Dalmia told me I could get the cup if I bid $10 million and paid 2.5 million in upfront in advance. I did that. It was biggest gamble of my life. And the revenue for the cup hits $20 million. It was crazy successful deal, I would say gamble. Sarcastically he said, but if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't be able to do it. After his successful 96 World Cup stint, suddenly everyone wants to know who is Mark Mascarenhas and where he came from. And then Sachin and Mark, one first is batting genius, another genius in finances. One made thousands of runs, another made sure that this guy get his deserving value. One report claimed that Mark was in US watching a cricket match where he first saw Sachin and took the next flight to India just to put deal in front of Sachin's and said, you take care of your runs and I'll take care of your finances. Sachin was just a possibility at that point of a time. But Mark knew that Indian market, Indian people were looking for someone who was not born with a silver spoon. And Mark took the gamble. He signed Sachin to his company Worldtel for a sum of US dollars 7.5 million. In Indian rupee, it was 27 crore Indian rupees, right? In 95 for a 5-year agreement. An Indian player receiving such a substantial amount of money was unheard of during that time. So, in a given interview, Mark said once, I chose to promote Sachin Tendulkar because I've never seen Donald Bradman play, never saw Gary Soubise. Yes, I saw Vivian Richards, but he couldn't figure out Bhagwat Chandrasekhar on his debut. And then I saw Sachin. I had never seen anyone like him. Just take a moment to listen to Sachin's audio note first, where he presents evidence of Mark's brilliance and share the story of their first encounter.
Still remember, we were in Sri Lanka at that time, and Ravi introduced me to Mark. Ravi said, here's my friend Mark, who's been wanting to meet you, and he has something to share with you. And then it was Ravi, Mark, and I three sat together, and that's where Mark made me that offer and said, why don't you just stay focused only on the game, and my company will manage the commercial side. Mark was someone who, when it came to my practice sessions and my preparation, he did not interfere at all. He said, everything will happen around that. I'm not going to make you cancel your practice session so that you could shoot an ad. So it never happened where Mark was forcing me, "Ne, aaj rehne do, practice tomorrow, let's shoot this ad today." It never happened.
There's a very interesting anecdote from Sachin's deal. So Mark invested 75 lakh dollar in Sachin for 5 years, and Sachin signed an advertising contract worth rupees 1 crore dollar over a period of 3 years, which means a profit of 25 lakh dollar in 3 years. And don't forget, the 2 years are still left. Well, Mark didn't stop here. You name them. Saurav Ganguly, legend Shane Warne, Shoaib Akhtar. Mark was everyone's first choice in terms of their finances. Everyone wants Mark to manage them. But Mark had one regret also, that he was from Bangalore and wanted to manage Rahul Dravid. But that point of a time, Rahul had already signed a contract with another management team, so he couldn't make it. And we know that Rahul Dravid was from Bangalore and the whole sort of a Karnataka school of cricket. But Mark couldn't make it here. The only thing he got from Dravid is the label of fan. That's it, not as a manager or nothing. Ian Chappell's once described Mark as a Kerry Packer of Indian television. He was big and full of bluster, similar to Packer, and demanded a high standards for his telecast. Kerry Packer, who handled the Channel 9 network, well, he was Australian and famously known to give colours to cricket with the idea of colour jersey and white balls. That was a different story. I'll tell you in upcoming episodes how Kerry Packer changed the cricket viewership. But as of now, coming back to Mark's story again. Well, not every deal of Mark was a success. Moreover, he was having a sweet bitter relationship with Saurav Ganguly. In 97, he had a dispute with Doordarshan regarding the rights of Independence Cup. Regarding that controversy with Doordarshan, he said in an interview, Mark said that I didn't surrender them to DD. We offered the BCCI rupees 6 crore. It was the highest amount I was keen to re-establish my relationship with DD after the minor hiccup during the 96 World Cup. The market had changed. ESPN, which was a competitor of Star Sports, had merged with it, and DD was anxious to be the host broadcaster for the independence celebration. That's it. That was a case. Well, that was a different story, but anyways, well, my whole point is this man who literally changed the entire landscape of sport broadcasting in India and ensure that player got fair value. But he doesn't deserve to die so soon here. But he died. Yes, on 27 January 2002, Mark died in a car accident in Nagpur. And just the next day, 28 January 2002, there was a match of India versus England, where all Indian players, including Sachin Tendulkar, wore black bands as a symbol of respect. The loss was particularly personal for Tendulkar. The man who made him millionaire and who made himself billions had left the world.